Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3 back once again with Tru Heels BTR between the ropes. This time we are talking to one of the best junior heavyweight wrestlers in the world, about to be in the best of Super Juniors 32, the one and only Ninja Mack. How you doing today, man?
Yo, I'm doing good. How are y'all doing today?
We're doing great. We're doing great. I'm so excited to talk to you. Been wanting to talk to you for a while, and we're talking on the heels of you being in the Best of Super Junior 32 tournament. But how has it been? You're coming off the heels of a very busy Wrestlemania weekend and week in Las Vegas. How was it out in Vegas and all your performances against the Masquerados and all around the independent scene in Las Vegas?
It was phenomenal. WrestleMania week is just a special week to see all the wrestling fans come together. I know WrestleMania is the main focus, but for all of them to be able to show the support to go to all the extra indie shows and not just the GCW and the Pandemonium and the WrestleCon, but you had, man, I couldn't even count how many shows you had running every day, all day. And shout out to all the wrestlers, all the mics, all the staff constantly working because that was probably a good 12 to 15 hours of shows running every day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not including WrestleMania. So it was a phenomenal week. I had a great match with Mustafa Ali. The guy's a phenomenal talent in the ring. He displays that. I drove right over to Masquerada, who is a young up and coming superstar in Lucha Libre for CMLL. Once again, two back to back opponents that were very tough because I ended up taking both losses. So much respect to both of them. And then the GCW shows grinded out so many, and to finish with that cage scramble match, Gringo Loco going from the top with the sit out power bomb through the tables. Gringo Loco is another phenomenal talent, and everyone that was in that match was such a phenomenal talent. So it was a great week. It takes its toll on the body with the travel. I'm just coming back from Los Angeles myself with New Tradition Lucha Libre. I had a great four-way match with TJP, Chandler Hopkins, and G. And then the next night, I got to take on Hammerstone, and that man is a monster of a man, also. So in the last 2 weeks since WrestleMania has been a wild 2 weeks of wrestling, just kind of preparing the body to get ready for Super Juniors. You never know who you're going to get in the tournament and the draw.
Exactly. How is it like doing all that travel? Because I know you've competed in Mexico, you've competed in Japan, you work all across the independent scene. How is it you're able to kind of balance all the traveling with like having a home life and a family?
You know, it's something you have to live for. If to me, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy the travel. I enjoy the struggle and the work on the road. So to me, it's not a struggle. It's not even. I enjoy it so much. I look forward to traveling. I look forward to going to places. I look forward to meeting new people. Um, but it is a little bit grinding on the body and time consuming. And as long as you're mentally and physically prepared, it's possible. But you got to love what you do. You got to love pro wrestling to do this.
And I've been looking at your social media and been following, and you've been posting a lot of videos of your pre-wrestling life, and you have a background in gymnastics. So, how did you get into the gymnastics world and learn how to control your body in the way that you do that has kind of made it a seamless transition into the pro wrestling world?
Just growing up, I always loved WWF, WCW era. I was just a kid at the time, so that pulled me into pro wrestling. And just at the time, I was fortunate enough to parents put me in some gymnastics classes. My father was an amateur wrestler, so I did amateur wrestling since I was 5. I was fortunate enough to go to open gyms and do gymnastics since I was 5. My parents kind of spoiled me and kind of put me through training since a very early age. And then after you get through school and hit 18, I ended up trying out for the circus. So after going to the circus, and that kind of took a next step in my pursuit of athletics, you have a lot of free time. So not only did I wrestle my whole life and then doing gymnastics and getting into the circus, I really fell into the martial arts love with jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and watching Bruce Lee and Power Ranger movies, Ninja Turtle movies. Naruto anime. I fell in love with doing ninja stuff. That I was training to be ninja before I was ninja, and everything kind of molded together. And then they tell you once you get into wrestling, it takes a couple years to click. It kind of clicked for me to see what kind of path I needed to choose, where I needed to go, and how I'm going to express myself in that ring.
So I saw that you did Circus Olay. How did you get into like the circus lifestyle? And that must have made it like, get used to like the traveling that it takes to be a pro wrestler, right?
Yeah, so I said I grew up in a gym. I was always growing up training. I had a very old friend, Terrence Harrison. He was one of the first guys to really get into that circus world that came out of the gym I was from in Houston, Texas. And he just happened to be 4 or 5 years older than me. And to be able to see what he was doing and what he chose, it kind of sparked an interest. So that circus life really got me interested in the entertainment part. And then with the entertainment part, that kind of after doing that got me interested in the entertainment part of pro wrestling as well. So it's amazing how life connects life to each other.
And you said you were watching wrestling as a kid. Who is it, or like, was there like a match or a superstar that you saw that kind of sparked really made you that interested in the pro wrestling world? Who was it?
I would be it hurtful to say that it wasn't Rey Mysterio because I was a small guy, small kid growing up. Seeing Rey Mysterio fly around with these giants was amazing, but at the same time, my parents were WWF fans at the time, so I was watching Bret Hart, Owen Hart. The Bret Hart Stone Cold match is ingrained in my brain. The one that was just put into the WrestleMania Hall of Fame. But my uncles were all WCW fans, so I had my uncles and my parents constantly just, "Hey, WCW's better, WWF's better." So I got the best of both worlds, and then even at a young age, I got introduced to Japanese wrestling and seeing Jushin Thunder Liger come to WCW, and then seeing them come over, like even Ultimate Dragon with Lucha Libre, not just Rey Mysterio. Like mass wrestling really just took off for me, and it sparked an interest. And then when I finally figured out what I wanted to do, it just made sense to do it.
So, like you said, you grew up in like the Texas area. So you started training at Reality of Wrestling with Booker T. How was it experience kind of learning from someone who's such a legend in the pro wrestling world?
And the five-time world heavyweight champion. That man is such a, the one of the biggest things I will always take from Booker was anytime he walked in the room, he command presence. And that's something he taught us is if you walk into a room and you can command presence, that's what WWE was looking for. They want the presence. They want you to be able to walk in a room and steal that attention. And that's what it is about pro wrestling, not just Booker T, but Stone Cold. He walks into the room, I guarantee you, he takes that attention. When Keiji Muto, Great Muta, when he walked into the room, he took the attention. Marufuji-san, when he walks into the room, he takes the attention. So you can tell when those stars walk in the room and the eyes turn like this, or the energy draws over to them, they took the attention. And that's one of the biggest things I can always remember from Booker T starting out from there. And then honestly, just having him around to be able to critique you on this and that. He's such a very when Booker T, he's very upfront and personal with you, and he'll tell you what you need. But he's also such a very laid back guy that he's going to motivate you and push you in the right way that he thinks is the best way to make you.
That's awesome. And you've, like I said, you traveled all around the world. I first saw you in GCW, and I instantly was like a fan of you because of how you move in the ring, and just the name Ninja Mack has like a ring to it. And I've been asked this by actually my missus when I said I'm interviewing Ninja Mack. She was like, "How did he get that name?" So how did you get the name of Ninja Mack?
I'm a very easy person to put together. One, it sounded good for business, Ninja Mack. I think it's got a good smack name to it. But at the same time, my last name, Mack, is the short version of it. And I didn't just want to go out there as ninja. Ninja's so general. Hey, there might be more ninjas out there. So it was just very easy to just isolate myself, Ninja Mack. Nothing fancy to it. Like I said, it sounded good when I put it together.
Love it, love it. And like I said, I saw you first in GCW Game Changer Wrestling. How did you start wrestling there? And do you feel like that was kind of the place where you were able to kind of get a lot of attention that's made you like go all around the world?
It really helped. I really have to put all my credit to GCW, local wrestling, and COVID-19. I hate to say COVID-19, but if it wasn't for COVID-19 and the break from everyone working, I wouldn't have had those extra 6 months to come back to training and kind of really just get back into the grind. And then during that time off, going back to training and talking with Jaime Martinez, Pedro Ortega, Mr. Lowrider, when we're down in Houston, we don't start local wrestling. And if local wrestling doesn't start and kick off in Houston, Texas, I don't get those matches with Dante Leon. I don't get the match with Dragon Bane that Noah called me immediately after the match with Wrestling with Unicorns. Shout out to Wrestling with Unicorns, too. Their clips of me and Dragon Bane went viral online pretty quickly because at the time, I didn't have social media for Ninja Mack. I was just wrestling, coming back as a character. Wrestling with the Unicorns really put us out there with that match where Noah instantly called within the next day. I had a couple calls too, Gleet, AAA. So that match with Dragon Bane really put me out there to get the attention. Just unfortunately, COVID again shut down Japan for a whole nother year. And then GCW brought me in for the Tampa show, and I was only booked for Jimmy Lloyd's Degeneration F show, that first show, and I ended up doing 7 matches that week and just taking the chance to go out there. And then it kind of just blasted off from there, where I rode out with GCW for a year until Japan opened the doors to make my way to Pro Wrestling Noah.
And you tore it up in pro wrestling, Noah, winning championship gold. How was the experience in working in front of like that Japanese crowd? And is it how what would you say is like the main difference performing in front of that Japanese crowd in comparison to going around the world in or just traveling in the US and working on the independent scene there?
It was very different at first because right when the borders opened for COVID-19, I was there, and those first 3 months of you have to be 2 seats apart, you have to wear a mask. There's no clapping, there's no noise, there's no yelling, no speaking. It was silent. So they were telling us if you know you got the audience, you're gonna hear them gasp, go, because you got them hooked and they just couldn't stay quiet. Obviously now COVID's a little more past. The restrictions have opened. People can now come in, and it's crazy at Kurikan or Ryogoku when you hear that crowd chanting "Ninja, Ninja." It's a deafening sound for me, and I really appreciate that Japanese crowd. It's something that GCW started too. It's caught on. But talking about crowds, one of my best experiences was going over to the UK when I did the tour over there. The UK sings you songs. Everyone. I don't know if it's just part of their culture. I don't know if it's the songs they learned when they were young. But when we went over to the UK, they had songs ready for everyone coming out, and they were just singing loud. So that was one of my best like personal experiences with just like a crowd, an indie crowd. But man, you can't put down a GCW crowd of 1,500 people either. Like those are amazing people. Those are strong, hardcore, committed fans, and I appreciate every one of those fans coming out.
So what would you say is like your favorite place to wrestle?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Kurikan Hall is such memory because there's so much that's always happened there. I mean, I did Tokyo Dome in front of 30,000 people, and just the sheer numbers alone is that was a little stunning by itself. But I appreciate that Atlantic City crowd when we run in those AC joints. The Los Angeles crowd at GCW at the Ukrainian Culture Center. That was one of the wildest crowds I've done a match for. I've had a couple matches there that went off. And hey, maybe this Saturday GCW. I think they're running Ukrainian Culture Center in Los Angeles again. You never know.
Love that, love that. And you had one of my favorite moments with Speedball Mike Bailey, if I remember correctly, in Korea in that place. Kind of what was it kind of that experience for you working that matchup and that high risk moment that you had there, and what was kind of your reaction to how it blew up on social media and went viral with that clip?
You know, When I face someone at the level of a Mike Speedball, I don't think I could ever compare to him or those top stars because they are so good at what they do that I need to do more. I need to go out there and I need to just put everything on the line. And if I got to climb up that wall 25 feet in the air and challenge him to a face, knowing I'm probably not going to win because Mike Speedball standing up toe to toe will probably whoop anyone's ass in professional wrestling. And obviously, I felt that when I dropped to the floor. But the moment to be able to go up there and challenge a Mike Speedball at that time, that's what we live for in pro wrestling. Put the moment out there, try and capture it and seize it, and see what happens. So I do my best to present the best opportunity for me to win, and sometimes I'm on the wrong end of it, but I'm gonna keep pushing until I get those victories.
Absolutely, I love that mindset. And Speedball is kind of similar to you with the karate background, taekwondo. But someone else who has that kind of similar style was your partner in your first appearance in New Japan Pro Wrestling, the DKC. How did that kind of partnership form? Was it New Japan or was it you guys that kind of came together? And explain how that experience was competing in the Super Junior Tag League last year.
That was all New Japan. I have never met DKC before. I believe they thought it was a good pairing when they put us together. And if you actually watch Super Junior Tag League, we butted heads those first two, three, four matches. It was not a coming from Noah. I'm the outsider. He was raised at the LA Dojo wrestling, so I'm trying to make a mark, and he's trying to teach me the New Japan way in matches. We butted head those first couple matches, but over time and grinding out, we pulled off some wins and we kind of melted together and we became some friends after that. It just, it was, I'm a little hot headed sometimes. So it took a couple matches, but after we kicked each other a couple times and pounded, we came together and we pulled off some good wins and almost came into a good place at the end. The guy's phenomenal too. He catches fire, DK Fire.
Yeah, you guys told a great story with the kind of bumping the heads and then coming together at the end to score some victories. So I'm hoping that you could tell a different story when you're in the best of Super Juniors this year. How was that? Is that kind of one of the things that was kind of on your bucket list to be in one of the most prestigious tournaments in all of wrestling and heading back into New Japan Pro Wrestling now?
Oh yes, sir. Fortunately, I was doing Best of Super Juniors 31, representing Pro Wrestling Noah last year. This year, coming into Best of Super Juniors 32, I'm representing myself. I think I might be the only free agent on the actual card right now. I think everyone's signed to a company, so I have a lot to prove. Uh, I can't back down. I have to go to every challenge. I don't know if the blocks are announced yet or if they've been decided, so it's going to be very interesting. I think you have a very big, massive lineup of New Japan talent. And then you have some AEW. You have a young Nick Wayne making his appearance. That's going to be a very interesting old GCW fan coming in. So, and then another person that's making waves is Mao. Mao coming in. I was very fortunate to wrestle Mao at the Soccer Genesis on our final match before, so I got a little experience with him. So if we happen to match up at Super Juniors, watch out for that match.
So, kind of, what do you think is going to be different for you now that you had that experience being in last year's tournament in comparison to this year's tournament? Outside of like you last year, you were representing Pro Wrestling Noah. This year, you're representing yourself. But what do you want to like take out of this year in comparison to what you experienced in your first Super Junior tournament?
Growth. I'm always looking to grow. I think it's very hard to go in as much as every wrestler says, "Oh, I'm going to win Super Juniors. I'm going to be the best and the finalist." To me, it's kind of like NFL or NBA playoffs. If I make the first round the first year, can I grow and hit that second round the next year? Can I get to the conference finals? So last year I finished with a record of 4-5. I was 4-4 going into my final match with Drilla Maloney. Shout out to Drilla. That man is a monster himself who dropped me on my head for my final match. And that's something I remember. So this year, obviously, I would love to win it. I'm doing everything I can. Yeah, I'd love to be a finalist. But if I can go out there and show myself I've grown and finish with a positive record, not 4-5, but I can go 6-3, 7-2, maybe it's good enough to be in the finals, but it's also shown me that I had some growth since last year.
Love that. That's a great way to go about it. And who are you kind of looking forward to or wanting to step in the ring with who you haven't in the past with all the talent that's going to be in this year's Best of Super Juniors 32?
I'm a championship wrestler, sir. As kind and humbling as I perceive myself, I want the championship every time I can. And that man is Desperado right now. He's holding it. I will shoot for the top every time. But if he's in my block and he's in the tournament with me on the same side, that man is what I want. If it's first match, let's go. First match, first on the card at the first event of Super Juniors. Let's just show them what the tournament could be like and show them what a championship match could really be like.
I love that. I love that so much. And you said before you're a fan of mass wrestlers. So I usually ask this question to see people that I'm speaking to. Give us we always come up with a Mount Rushmore of something. So give us your Mount Rushmore of mass wrestlers.
Rey Mysterio, just the time, the consistency. That guy is probably the richest mass wrestler, let alone the best mass wrestler of all time in Luchador. I would put for myself, and you know what? They just had a little debut of him, Hayabusa, and the new Hayabusa came out, but I'd have to throw him up there as well. So I'd go Ray, I'd go Hayabusa, Jushin Thunder Liger for sure. You can't go wrong with that. Oh man, you're putting me on the spot with mass wrestlers. Who's a good fourth one for Mount Rushmore? I always hate Mount Rushmore because everyone's so good. Um, Eddie Guerrero, I believe he was doing Black Tiger in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to throw him in there as well, one of the GOATs.
That's a great shout. And you mentioned before the NBA playoffs, and also when we were setting this up, you said that you're a big Houston Rockets fan. How does it feel that the young Houston Rockets, made it into the playoffs and in a number 2 seed in the Western Conference? How excited are you for the Houston Rockets this year?
Hey, just like I'm trying to do in Super Juniors, there was growth this year. We got a good conference. Obviously, playoff experience is a little different, and we ran into the Golden State Warriors, who is already just exceptional, talented title team. So, we're struggling in round 1, but the game is tonight, I think, actually. Tonight at 9:00. So go Houston Rockets. But yeah, they can pull it off if they come together. Obviously, it's a tough challenge against Golden State, but we are the younger, faster team. Golden State's a little more experienced championship wise, but this game, you win it, we're back to a best of 3 series. So you never know what can happen. But in the end, it's such good experience to be there, to face those kind of levels. Next year is going to even be that much better for us.
Love that. Love how you're just very positive and humble type of person, and very genuine. So I really enjoyed talking to you today. Appreciate you giving me some time to talk about this year's Best of Super Juniors tournament. We are all rooting for you here at Tru Heel Heat. So please let everyone know where they can follow you on social media, and where they can see you in the Best of Super Juniors tournament, or wherever you're going to be across the independency.
Well, next week you can check me at Los Angeles for Viva Vavoom, some luchadors from Cinco de Mayo weekend. But if you haven't do so, go and follow this channel. Subscribe, comment, like. That's how we make our business, guys. Best of Super Juniors, the New Japan World app. More than welcome to download it. I believe it's $6.99 after conversion of money. Don't quote me exactly on that. It could be $7.99. I don't have my calculator in front of me, but please tune in. Subscribe to New Japan. Subscribe to Ninja Mack. Everything: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all Ninja Mack. Thank you for coming, and we appreciate you today.
Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it today, and go out of your way to check them out in the Best of Super Juniors tournament, one of the most prestigious tournaments in wrestling today for New Japan Pro Wrestling. This has been Tru Heels BTR, Between the Ropes with Ninja Mack. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3, signing off until next time.